All right, you guys, we're gonna go over the half kneeling chops and lifts. This is a really cool corrective because it kind of targets a lot of different things. For one, we're gonna work on trunk stability in the sagittal plane. So that means controlling pelvic tilt, okay? The other is we're gonna work on rotational stability, okay? So rotation through the trunk. And here we're more working on preventing rotation if we want to stabilize that, okay? And then the last thing is we have to work on hip stability and hip function off of a nice, strong, stable core. Now remember, hip function really relies on the core and the pelvis and lumbar spine to be stabilized in a specific position. If we have a really wobbly base there, that hip musculature is not going to be as efficient. So what we're going to do is we're going to get in a half kneeling position. It helps to have a little pad under your knee. And I'm first going to try to get myself into a barrel, or kind of a nice narrow cylinder. Most people, when they get into a half kneeling position, you'll notice they kind of kick that hip off to the side. When I'm doing this, I'm just kind of resting in that joint. And I'm not really using the musculature to stabilize me and hold me up. Okay? So I'm going to kick that hip out just to feel what it feels like, and then drive it up so that I'm in my nice narrow cylinder. The other thing I want to do is from the side view there, we want to control this arch through our lower back. So we're going to go ahead and do a big pelvic tilt forward, big pelvic tilt backward, and then find a nice neutral position. And then imagine a string kind of pulling up the ceiling so that you get tall and brace the core. Okay? From there, okay, that I'm in my cylinder here. I'm going to grab my band. You can see this is anchored here down diagonal to the ground. This for the lift variety. For the chop, you'd have it anchored up tall to come diagonal this way for the chop variety. So that's just kind of different planes of motion, so you can kind of switch it up. You can even go in the middle a couple different heights as well. So I'm in my cylinder, my core is braced, my pelvis is neutral, my left hip's going, my left glute is really involved in these rotational slings we're using. So I'm gonna focus on activating that as well. Okay. With the band, I'm going to go straight arms, get a little bit of tension on there. I'm just going to try to pull up and across and stabilize through my trunk and hips. Okay? So what I don't want to see is I don't want to see something like this, right? Where I'm kind of turning with the band and I'm not controlling any of that stability. My hip was kicking out, right? So that being said, remember, any corrective, we want to be challenged, but we still want to be successful. So the way that we can increase or decrease challenge here is to decrease, we could bring this foot outward, create a much wider base of support here that would make it much easier to stabilize the system. Bringing it in close, okay? Much harder to stabilize the system. The other thing you could do, obviously, is get a heavier band. Okay? Now you don't want to get such a heavy band that it's causing you to compensate. Okay? So, and last little thing there is we might as well work on gripping the ground here at this front foot. Create an arch. Check out what this knee's doing. Make sure we're not letting that knee collapse every time. Okay? Make sure we are kind of driving that knee out. You could even engage this opposite hip here too while you're at it and try to stabilize here. Okay, so lots of different things. I really love this exercise because it incorporates all sorts of different kind of categories of correctives that we use. So give that one a shot.